And we're live.
Yeah. What's good, people? It's your boy Icarus Gray.
And it's your homeboy Wordplay TJ.
And this is the No Rhyme or Reason podcast, where we talk about everything.
Everything for no reason at all. We're back in 720p instead.
And a couple less frames.
Yeah. So
the angular level of TJ has risen to the max, but
I'm focused, man.
I'm not. Yeah. So everybody, please make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed to this channel. Also, make sure that you hit that like button, notification bell, and share this with somebody if you enjoy the content of the podcast. And we'll give you some clips. Let's get into the first topic. Oh, also, one more thing. If you got a comment, anything about anything that we discussed today, send your emails to nrorpodcast@gmail.com. He'll look at it, but I won't.
that is a new phrase. He'll look at it, but I won't.
I just have too many emails.
And if you like what it is that we have on, get you some.
Check out some merch, No Rhyme or Reason podcast. You can get that from our merch store, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Indubitably.
So, first topic.
John Gruden. John Gruden. The face of...
This is my face the entire day.
True. But he was essentially like a huge voice for football. He was like the face of one of the faces of football. He was the Buccaneers coach that brought him their first Super Bowl. After that, when he retired for a while or was fired or whatever happened from him initially, he was a huge component of like Hooters. He was like always there. Oh, I'm here, man. It's me, John Gruden. I'm probably doing a terrible John Gruden impression to inform you of who he is.
Yeah.
Anyway, one. Anyway, technically two. Yes. I didn't know if you were gonna. I thought you were rolling around to do this, but anyway. So long story short, some emails leaked earlier last week about in the middle of a discussion for the Washington football team is what it's called now. And John Gruden had a lot of homophobic, racist emails from 2011 to 2017. He was not
allegedly.
Not even allegedly. These are his emails, and he is cop to all of it.
Allegedly.
We have to say allegedly?
I'm just being careful.
Okay. Well, so allegedly, even though allegedly, not allegedly, he did this. And he got caught because he resigned and said he was never trying to like offend anyone. And there were a lot of people that were CC'd in the emails.
Never trying to offend anyone while doing offensive things.
That is I'm sorry I offended anyone, I think is what he said. Whatever the cliche phrase is. So
if we're gonna quote him, we should have a quote.
He does a lot of he disrespects DeMaurice Smith, which was the NFL Players Association president, in terms of like handling their relations with the owners and everything. There were also leaked photos, or they were trading photos of
nudes.
They were trading nudes of the cheerleaders.
Interesting.
Which was another wrinkle to this. And you know,
like we can't say that word on YouTube, but corn auditions.
Oh wow. Yes.
Is that basically what it is? Like if you send some nudes, you'll get onto this team.
Are you saying like CC? Like he was trying to do a casting place?
Yeah. In a way.
Were you trying not to say that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just casting. I'm not going to say the rest of it because I think you were still trying to stay with.
Yeah.
God damn it. 3. Anyway.
We should put a counter down at the bottom for any time that we smack.
Dang it. Garrett,
I'm ready.
Don't you do it, Garrett.
He's gonna do
He's
it.
got it there.
And he's gonna make it obnoxious too.
Oh man.
I know it.
Anyway, and then he was also very critical of I forgot the team, but the team that drafted either the first gay player or had to draft a gay player. He was very, very critical. Used a lot of bad language. He was doing big lip jokes or whatever about DeMaurice Smith, which you know is a sign of like their age old. They have not grown anywhere racism. And was calling him like ugly and some more like other random things that were like really, really extra. What was funny is a lot of these emails were released earlier in the week, and he wasn't resigning at that point. But once this last wrinkle of him being very critical of, I wish I could remember the team. It doesn't matter, but that was signing the gay player while having on his team the first openly gay player that is really, really good. He's just a good player in general. And it was just a lot of problematic stuff for somebody who we assumed was way different from what he was. And I wanted to talk about this because it
I wonder.
Assumed. Again, I said assumed.
I wonder.
I started
even
with the
if you
assumption.
assume this guy's like the spokesperson for Hooters.
True.
The guys that go to Hooters.
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing
You
there.
see what I'm saying?
Okay, I see the tagline, but I wouldn't have put those together because he was the funny guy who did like the QB 101s before QBs got drafted. He would go and have these conversations with them. You could see that he was a brilliant football mind, but he just ended up in this position where they're trying to basically get the Washington football team owner, Dan Snyder, out of there. Is what it because the NFL is currently doing an investigation into them and some sexual misconduct cases that were going on over there. So I think they stumbled across these email chains with John Gruden for whatever reason. But the key of what ties these things together is earlier in the week, like I said, they had all of these emails that had leaked. He did not resign until the email got leaked of him critiquing the whatever team it was for drafting the gay player. And then all of those emails came out, and then he was quick to resign. He had a contract that was basically like he had to resign because they couldn't fire him. And his image is pretty much completely ruined. And our conversation last week about Dave Chappelle ties into this because you wonder, do people really care when a black person or whatever is disrespected? Especially in the sports landscape where there's not a lot of minority owners or really any for the most part, or not minority, majority owners, actual owners and I mean, because I know that there's a clarification and a specification between minority owner, because there are minority owners
And being
a majority
person of color.
Yeah. So
We call those folks the global majority now because globally there's more people of color.
I actually like that. That brightened my day a little bit. I don't know why. After all
You
this
can
stuff
have that
going
racism.
So, like you're saying with the Hooters connection, I don't think I should have been surprised by this.
Yeah, I think it's just a culture thing, right? So
Right.
you're looking at a culture that hasn't gone away, and some people pretend like that culture is gone because overt racism isn't shown in our faces, right? It's the idea that because these people aren't openly in Klan uniforms or shown like seen at lynchings or calling everybody the N-word in public, that they're not doing it. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, and that's the funny part is that, right? So folks can lean on their faith
Right.
about things that they can't see. But then they'll lean on the idea that racism doesn't exist for that same that same reason. So if I don't see it, it doesn't exist, right? So it's like, come on now.
Here's the other wrinkle. Normally we'd be like, okay, a tweet that you made in 2011 is not grounds for me to think that you haven't grown or changed or learned something. The fact that these emails were from 2011 to 2017,
Right.
it's one of those where it's like, nah, bruh, that's you.
That's a lot of growth that you're gonna have in the span of 4 years.
4 years. But again, they were only probably running those emails from then to then because of the current investigation. We don't know if they had gone from now to like today, if there's not some negative emails that were sent. The other issue that I had with this, especially that I had with a lot of these different situations, majority of the sports leagues outside of like the NHL are majority black. So when you're in these situations where you're talking and calling somebody big lips and doing all these other disrespectful, racist things to black people, because of the majority, I feel like there should have been more outcry before. Because again, these emails were out for a very long time. The needle didn't move until the last pin dropped. And I think I articulated this perfectly last week in the sense that I'm jealous of that. And the same thing that Dave Chappelle said, I'm jealous of like the quick reaction to all things in disrespect to the LGBTQ. Like, I'm earnestly jealous.
Yeah, but people react to both things at the same time?
Not really. It literally went uncovered, and then the first thing
uncovered in the media.
Uncovered in the media, really, because they were talking about it, but it wasn't until I think like the Washington Post posted the comments, like I said, about that player, that they're like, oh, no, you got to get out of here. Because it started early in the week. If there's sports news early in the week of this caliber, they're going to run with it. I didn't find out about it until Thursday and Friday. And then finally, like you go to sleep on, or Thursday he resigned, and then Friday is when they were kind of talking about it. And I'm always just kind of interested in the way we try to do sports like it's music and separate the art from the artist. But it's so much more tragic because they're separating entertainment from morals.
But ultimately, right, whether you're a musician or a person in sports industry, you're still a person. So that should be the primary.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
Right. I don't feel that at this point, and even in the past, we can separate R. Kelly's actions from his art.
I cannot.
Especially when you listen to him being the Pied Piper. And if
There
you know that
again,
story.
guys. Yep. That was my one. Like, I have never been blinded. When I was young, when he started doing that, that was a thought process.
And the chocolate factory.
Dog. Oh my God.
Like, come on.
Yo.
I mean,
I feel like you're MacGyver over here.
I'm not MacGyver. I'm just like, dude, just listen. Just listen.
But so, like, what are your overall thoughts on? I mean, I know you didn't have much on because you, again, say your phrase about sports.
I don't know shit about sports, man.
And bless you. Wife sneezing in the background.
Nice.
It's crazy.
I'm focused, man.
So, yeah. I just want to move our frames a little bit. And it's still having some encoding issues. So there we have it. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry guys.
No, you're good.
Light's good though.
We're good.
We good. But yeah, so like your thoughts have made my thoughts more clear.
I can't remember what my thoughts are.
Your thoughts were more just like I said, like the Hooters connection, the not being able to separate.
I thought you were talking about my thoughts about sports in general.
Oh, no. The fact that you don't know about sports makes it a much more clear, unbiased statement. Because so often, and we have so many sports topics, especially because I'm figuring out a lot of these different things, but so often in sports, especially since, I want to say since 9/11, there's been this weird thing that we've chosen to do. So I didn't even know that the national anthem wasn't something that was just done all the time.
What do you mean?
So 9/11, when that happened, that's when they started doing, like, playing the national anthem.
Oh.
They had done it a little bit earlier. I forget exactly what the timeline was in one sport around. It was always around wartime. But then they stopped doing it after, the war had been won, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, in order to drum up support for the war, you need more.
But since 9/11, and this is one of those big, huge culture shifts, we never stopped. Now, granted, the war did not end for a very long time. Then we come to find out that it wasn't this patriotic thing that we thought it was, where it's like, oh man, they got this veteran down here, they're supporting him. Then we found out that they were paying the NFL and other, platforms to do the things.
What?
Yes. They were paying them to be down on the field, to be able to promote during the games and all this other stuff or whatever, versus it being something that you were doing for the good of America. So I guess I'm saying that to say the curtains are being removed continuously, and I wonder if we're going to start changing our mind.
Even if we're the global majority, we're not the majority of this country. So how can you do that?
Good luck with that, bruh.
So
bars. All right, let's slide to the next one. So we were talking about the Kyrie Irving vaccination situation last time. There have been a couple of updates. So reports from his camp that his fight
is it like summer camp?
Somewhat exactly like summer camp.
Reports from summer camp.
Reports from summer camp, his camp, was that this was never about the vaccination. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be a voice for the people who are losing their jobs because they don't want, or they don't want to get the vaccination.
Got it.
And the topics have been misconstrued because he would get it if there weren't people losing their jobs or something like that. He's essentially trying to be a speaker for the people. Was the word from his camp.
Okay, so I have two perspectives on this. One, right, it is entirely valid to be concerned about a vaccine. Mm-hmm. It is also entirely valid to not want to lose your job because of a vaccine. And Kyrie, like myself, are members of a union. Mm-hmm. So they have the players union and association, and many other places of work have unions. And so when I think about unions and workers' rights, and I think about working conditions, this is a working conditions issue. But here's the thing about vaccines is we got to do, and I've said this last time, we got to do a better job at communicating how safe the current vaccine is.
Right.
We need to do a better job at debunking misinformation. We need to do a better job at spreading the proper information about vaccines. Otherwise, people will continue to be in the dark and play the telephone game and pass around information that may be skewed, invalid, incorrect, and continue this train of, well, I don't want to get vaccinated, but I may want to put my other coworkers at risk. It's a selfish perspective, and it's fine to have a selfish perspective in order to verify how good it is for you, right? That's so like your condition, right? I think that's a valid reason to look more into the vaccine. Being pregnant, that's a valid reason to look more into the vaccine. Having other vulnerabilities, valid reason to look into the vaccine. Even just being skeptical overall, it's a valid reason to read, research, and do your homework. But most of people's news comes from Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
It's a
right?
huge problem.
That shouldn't be your number one source for information. And I really detest when people say, well, my reality is fact, versus using the difference between subjective reality and objective reality.
Oh yeah.
Objective reality would be 1 + 1 is 2, and we have over time verified and legitimized that fact. Mm-hmm. Over time, we have verified and legitimized that the sky is blue or grass is green, or at least that's what we determine it to be on our visual spectrum.
Right.
So understanding that there are a list of facts that are independently verifiable through a list of checks and balances and means of verification, people need to be able to discern between the things that are not verifiable under checks and balances and don't hold up to scrutiny versus things that do.
Yeah, and we have to stop being so. When I was listening to the new reports on what it was that he was trying to do, and a lot of the sports talk about it, I realized that we can come off overly aggressive. Not us specifically. I know me specifically. Sometimes I can come off aggressive about, the information I was talking about when I was worrying about me about not getting vaccinated at the time. Before I ended up getting vaxxed, had no issues, no side effects outside of like a sore arm with the first shot. Like the second shot was for me way less, nothing comparatively to the first one.
Yeah, and it varies from person to person.
True.
And I want to clarify, that's supposed to be a natural response.
Yeah.
Right. If you get a little sick from a vaccine, that is your body doing its job. That's like getting a little sick from a cold. That's like getting really sick from a cold one year and getting a little sick from a cold the next year.
Yeah. And having like signs that immediately tell you that you're sick. So it's like if you were really sick one year, you have a fever and, your nose is stopped up, you got body pains. The next year, like you start feeling a little bad and you start to taste sick or something. And it's like your body's telling you, hey, that thing that we didn't like, it's trying to come out again. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know why I'm knocking on the air. Like I'm trying to knock on the door. That was so weird. I'm so weird. But yeah, to go and get your antibiotics or whatever. But the overarching point that I'm making is I got so aggressive about it. Like I remember talking to you about like, I don't think we should because this happened. And you're like, no, that's not a thing. What? Like this is more. And I was like, I should go look up more of that because I know why I'm doing it for me. And I know what I'm thinking about because I was in that place where so if we were 100% vaccinated, right, there would still not be the herd immunity.
Right. And that's what we're ultimately talking about, right?
We're trying to get to that point. Now, on both sides of that, here's what people are willing to do. Whether you get the vaccine or not, eventually, with the dying off of the people that will die off and so on and so forth, we would probably reach herd immunity at some point.
Yes.
if they didn't do, and
But we don't want that.
and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
5.
Nice.
Dang it.
That ticker up.
But that's the general stigma, and I can see that mindset because it's so easy to be like, well, I'm not sick. If that person dies,
Or
it doesn't
I
affect
already
me.
caught it.
Yeah.
And now I'm immune, right? That's something that Dave
Right.
Chappelle said that I was like, yeah, like their doctors and medical professionals will say, yes, getting COVID is a little better than getting a vaccine, but you don't want to have to go through that and risk the chances of a bad reaction.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? The chances of a bad reaction are higher than having just a neutral one.
But I think that's what we're talking about is it's like, and that's the selfish aspect that still exists to me is you would rather play the gambling game with other people's lives as a whole than to mitigate, than to slow, than to get us to a point to where no one like is dying of polio and all these other things because of vaccines and or general cures or whatever at that point. And being at a point to where we can be safe around each other again and not just trying to wait out evolution.
Yeah. Sometimes the cure is the vaccine.
Right.
And that's something that we need to really be mindful of, is that in the past, vaccines have worked historically to save society from certain things, and we need to be okay with that fact.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that it was so interesting to see the different sides of what he was trying to do. And initially, at this point, like we're literally only talking about like 15 players in any sport. Like you're talking about a small majority. Like in the NHL, I think you're talking like about 4 or some odd players or some odd no, these are the people that you're talking about. And then instead of it being like, hey, we're 90%, we're 80%, we're talking about the 20, or we're talking about the 2 or the 6%. And then not only does it promote bad publicity for them, right? Because they have their reasons, and maybe they're wearing their masks and being, very protective of their teammates, and they're not going out and doing all these extra things. But we don't know that. All we do is like aggressively attack it in a way of saying, man, you're a popular person and you are speaking to a base that is going to stay the same.
Right.
That wants to do what they want to do. While, like we were talking about last week, there are so many cases where every day people are going and getting the vaccine. There are more people getting it than what we talk about. And I think that ultimately we have to stop being used as pawns in political schemes, in just political talk, because there's real world things that are going on with this. Like you're saying, like people don't even want to seek the information as much as they want to yell their point.
Yeah. And that goes down to, I can talk about this for days, right? It's
True.
Educational system. It's the way people are raised inside of their families to verify information. Like we're ultimately not taught how to disseminate information from fact or fiction, or even just kind of pseudo kind of hybrid of fact and
Do you think that's something that they stopped with our generation? Because I know that how we used to do papers was you had to be thorough in terms of getting your sources.
Oh, for sure. It has definitely slowed down, right? In our school systems, where it doesn't show its face until it gets to like high school level. Okay. And so it needs to start earlier. It needs to start in elementary school. We need to start talking about sources, and
we need
to talk about it from the perspective of social media too, though, because these kids are living on their phones, and so that's a big deal. And I teach that in my courses. So, yeah.
So, guys, I'm going to turn this down because it's really loud for whatever reason. But get ready for a new segment. How you doing, guys? It's your host, Icarus Gray. And this is whether or not Wordplay TJ can guess the plot. We're going to find that out today. What I've asked him to do is go online. I've given him the name of an anime. I've asked him.
Music's still loud.
Sorry, I'm going to bring it down a little more.
Just drop it.
I'm going to drop the
and
music.
then explain the rules.
I'm explaining the rules.
Going ham.
It was going in there. I've only given him the name of an anime, told him to go look at the pictures, and now he's going to try, and you can only get this part of the podcast if you're looking at the YouTube page. I do apologize, or we can go by the name.
That's fine. We'll figure it out.
So, the task that I've given him today is to tell me the plot of Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
So that's the title, right? Rascal
Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
Okay. Well, when this title came across, I was just like, what the fuck? I was like instantly like,
Let's see what we get with this.
But I'm lucky. And the reason why I'm lucky is because I feel like Trinera has watched pieces of this recently.
Really?
And I've just kind of like walked by. Trinera, my wife, everybody, by the way. I've kind of walked by and seen a bit of it. So I might be able to guess it. But let's just go off of the picture. All right, so
Let's see.
you got like a showgirl, Playboy bunny type of chick. She's obviously in some cosplay. I've heard senpai before, and I don't know what it means. So
Teacher.
Okay, thanks.
Or well, technically that's sensei, but senpai is more like I respect you.
Yeah.
Like
So
you're like OG
okay.
kind of thing.
Stop giving me hints.
Sorry. Well, no, just that point in general.
And because if you give me hints, it's more funny when it's out harder. That's what.
Wait,
she
what?
said.
Good luck with that, bruh.
That's what she said. Anyway, so all right, senpai. So this Playboy bunny showgirl is not a teacher, but somebody that this character, this dude, wants to be taught. He wants to be taught a lesson.
I'm focused, man.
And he wants that lesson from Bunny Girl. And so he follows her around like a stalker, like a creep. Look at him. He's pretending to read a book right now. He's not reading that book. He's like, how can I get up in them panties?
Wait a minute.
And so
That shows the age of us in general.
yeah, so
Panties?
I mean close enough. So he
Draws.
yeah. And so he wants Bunny Girl to do some things with him. And he's following her around in order to learn some things because she's older. He respects her. And she's also a cocktail waitress on the side. Boom. Boom. Cue the music. I've
Gotta bring the music all the way down. And now, oh man, that's too low. I think that's the decent level. You did not this week get it correct in the least.
All right.
There were parts of it that you get right.
Yeah. Okay.
There were parts of it that you get right.
Was there a no buzzer?
I forgot that part.
Only if I get it right.
Oh wait,
Come on, man.
hold on.
I don't think that.
No,
Nope. That's more like a win. Nope.
that's the intro. That's the music.
How about good luck?
Good luck with that, bruh.
There you go. I lose
You
this
did
round.
So
Got 0 points.
we're gonna try, and I think this will be a good segment to try and do every week because I have a million of these things that I can send you through in terms of just pictures alone.
Oh yeah, we'll keep doing this.
This is a sponsor
Next time
segment.
I'll put the link up.
Sponsor segment because this is sponsored by Gray Area Anime. If you'd actually like to find out more about any of these series, go and check out my channel because that's where I talk about these things.
Yeah, but not at the same time you're watching my channel. Don't have
Don't.
my watch time.
No.
Give us both watch time.
You gotta like don't leave until after
Or just have two windows with them playing simultaneously. See if you
But I start your week, he ends your week. So I'll give you the actual plot.
Okay.
So the plot of it, what with you walking around, is this what you surmised from what you were watching with Trinera?
Yeah, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, well, actually, I'll just break down this scene.
Okay.
So no one in there can see her but him. The reason she's wearing that is because she realized that people couldn't see her and she's trying to be noticed. And he's the only person that can see her. So
That's a red flag, but we'll get back to that.
what it ends up being is that there's this, it's called adolescent syndrome.
Tick that counter up.
I feel like he's zoomed in. So it's called adolescent syndrome. So currently she's a famous, she's an idol. In Japan, there's a lot of idols, which basically means you sing, you dance, you do magazine covers. Like it's like a genre. It's a pop star, so to speak, but you can be just about any age kind of thing.
But why is she invisible? I think that's the most important.
Well, I start with that part because in doing this idol stuff, she has not been able to live her life in the way that she wants to live her life. Mm-hmm. So there's this anxiety that she's feeling that kind of becomes a paranormal activity kind of thing.
Huh?
So her own doubts and stuff have caused her to not be able to be seen. That's why it's adolescence syndrome. So there's something paranormal-ish going on.
Queuing on my face, Gary, because I'm so confused still.
So, okay. So let me see how I can explain this better.
So
it's kind of like,
was she alive?
yes,
And she died because of doubt?
she's not dead.
So she just became invisible because of doubt?
Yes.
That's that. Now I get it.
Yes. Yes. So, and then this series does a really good job of kind of
It's a metaphor.
yes, but at the same time, it's actually happening. Like there's these anomalies, these scientific anomalies. He has a friend that he talks to, and he's like, and she is like a little scientist kind of person in his school or whatever. And she breaks these things down for him, and he starts to realize, well, it's because this person feels like this. So he's dealing with some stuff himself because he has these scars on his chest, right? That he got, it seems like he was attacked by a bear. But no one was in his room. He just woke up kind of bleeding because his sister was going to hang out with some people, his younger sister or whatever. She's young. She's in middle school. She was going to hang out with some people, but she didn't want to hang out. And so the girl started like talking bad about her and lying on her. And so the rumor started spreading and like social media started to get a hold of it, and she couldn't like look at her phone. So she got really, really scared of being around people. And so there were these bruises that started to appear on her because of the damage that was being done socially, but mentally it was kind of actualizing these things. So it's kind of like your fears becoming reality and warping things around you is what the series is about in these different characters and stuff. So
deep.
But the first thing you said when you first started
why
with
why is he following?
Because he can see her, and he wasn't following. It's just like,
but why can he see her?
He can see her because he's dealt with he's currently dealing with his own adolescent syndrome.
Oh,
so it's kind of like,
so nobody else dealing with that can see that.
Basically, at least for the series.
Okay.
Now there's a couple different things, but it's just like, but a lot of people just kind of follow the crowd. Like, peer pressure is peer pressure. There are people who go along with it, but then there are the people who are really affected by it. We have those people that, the kids that end up committing suicide, the kids that end up doing different things because of how they're reacting to it. They pull back. Like, we've all had that kid that like, hey, what happened to so-and-so? And, they were really bullied. No one spoke up for them. No one did something different. They take all of those different aspects of different situations, whether it's anxiety of talking to somebody, anxiety of being with the one that you love, anxiety of, friendships in a sense that you might love one of your friends, but you don't want to ruin the friendship and go half crazy like Musiq Soulchild. I don't know. It's a song.
Oh, okay.
Just check the song out, guys. Half Crazy, Musiq Soulchild. But yeah, so that's the series. But that's what I was going to give you. You do get points for.
Yeah, right.
I just wanted to use the new sound really quick. For when you were saying that it was like he was looking at her and he's like seeking her out or he wants her. That's what it was. So
for them draw.
He does, like her. She's somebody that he noticed, and then they end up having like this close relationship because he's the only person that can see her for at least the first and second episode, I believe. There comes a point in the show, right, in these first 2 episodes, where he realizes that if he goes to sleep, he'll forget her for whatever reason. And he ends up staying up, and he has to he writes this journal out for himself about her existing. And, they were studying for some test or something. He had been going to sleep, and he goes to sleep. He forgets her. He wakes up. He reads his notes. He runs to school and realizes no, I love her. I need these people to realize that she exists. And he's yelling that he loves her or whatever, to school, doing this embarrassing thing that draws attention to him. And somehow in that, she starts to realize herself. And then they're able to see her. But anyway, it's a really good anime. I suggested the reason I did this one
was too deep for fun.
True. But it was funny because I knew the name was funny. I knew that your explanation was something that would be well received. But it's really, really dope. I think that y'all would enjoy it. But yeah, this is fun. We're going to do this continuously. I'm going to do more obscure ones so he can suffer. Yeah. But because some of the titles would be just crazy. And if you have any time, run the counter up, Garrett. If you have any suggestions, send them to nrorpodcast@gmail.com, and then I'll send it along to him, or send pictures of the animes.
Yeah, let me know what obscure animes I should guess the plots of, and you can put them down in the comments. Actually,
I think I know what we're doing next week.
Easier way to do that.
Yeah, and I know what we're doing next week. I'm not going to tell you now, but I'm just going to send you a picture.
Don't send me a picture. Just send me the title.
But there's a specific picture that I'm you have to get this picture, because if you get the other pictures, then you'll just be able to explain it.
Oh, well, that doesn't help because I got to search it in order to make the slide.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got one more quick topic, and then, or no, that's overtime. You guys don't get that.
No, we got a quick topic.
Oh, we do get the quick topic.
We got a topic.
So, red flags.
Red flags.
Red flags. You guys have been going rampant on Facebook and other places with this red flag challenge, which is what it seems like.
So explain that for the people that are listening.
So people, if you don't know, when you're dating somebody, continuously we'll talk about there are red flags in conversation. So if you're talking to a guy and he's like, yeah, man, you know, I'm the #1 World of Warcraft player in the world and I've got 30 cats. You're like, red flag.
Okay.
Like, you don't leave the house. You have 30 cats and you play World of Warcraft. Whatever we consider to be red flags. I'm not saying that that's a
That's a red flag.
God dang it. I'm not saying that that's a red flag of somebody. I'm just giving an example of what someone would consider a red flag.
I know what would be helpful. Just talk less with your hands.
It's a hard thing. I'm a rapper. I don't know what to do with the rapper hands.
Just put them down.
Locked, knee locked, hands locked, and then I went right out.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Man, I do not want to drop the quality anymore, but
these frames. I don't know. It's just something weird going on with today.
no, it's I think it's the way we record because I never drop frames when I'm at home. So it's how this is connected. So I'll figure it out at another point.
But yeah, so there's been this whole thing where people have been talking about red flags and stuff. And what's funny about it to me is there are like genuine red flags, genuine things that we need to address. But I feel like a lot of the times we don't know how to healthily look at things that we like and dislike in relationships.
So let's talk about it. What are some red flags for you?
Red flags for me are like motivation. So if you, so in a sense that like, so say we're out, right? We're having a conversation about anything and you just don't seem passionate about nothing. Not even like, you just have no passions.
It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
What do you do for fun?
Or your general passion is something like me, right? A big red flag used to be, and we talked about this with the Nice Guys finishing last episode a little bit. My big red flag was always a girl that was saying, when I was just complimenting her, doing things that I was taught to do, I've never met anyone like you. You're the nicest guy that I've met, or whatever, right?
Is that red flag number 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that would signal to me that you haven't had anybody that just said you were beautiful. Are you serious? And like meant it. And majority of the time, the reason it was a red flag for me is because that would normally reflect their interest in learning me. Because then it became about what I was doing that was so different and I no longer existed in the communication or kind of getting to know. So that's one of mine.
2 of yours.
2. I don't even know what the first one was. I messed up.
The first one was no motivation. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of lack of interest in everything, basically. And the other one is whether or not they, experience you as a nice guy, and that's the first time they've done that.
Yeah. Like if that's the shining thing is that I open doors and, I'm nice to you.
Yeah. I've been trying to think of some red flags that are part of mine. I think in the last segment, right, we talked about, how this anime girl is trying to like kind of seek the attention of everybody else. And so when I think about that, trying to seek the attention of everybody else, not for the sake of like a business or marketing and promotion, but just to kind of feel your own self-esteem, so to speak, I think is a concern of mine, simply because I'm unsure if the attention that I give is all like my perspective is that the attention that I give is never going to be enough.
The other thing that I found about all this, the problem that I have with this trend of us talking about red flags and the way that we're talking about red flags, right? So often we don't know what the actual investment of a relationship is. especially the investment of marriage, right? I've brought up the whole bill splitting conversation where they're like, if you're not paying all of the bills, are you really married? You know, and you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And we don't talk about the fact that it's like a lot of y'all find red flags after marriage.
Yeah, and your perspective on that was that folks need to talk about it earlier.
Yes.
Right.
You know, we're in this red flag state where it's like, if one red flag, because there's going to be a red flag. It doesn't matter what it is or who it is. Everybody has a red flag if you talk to them long enough, right?
Huh?
What?
Red flag on the defense. Anyway.
Soccer reference. Because I think that's the only way they do red flag, unless it's a penalty flag in football.
I don't know sports, man.
I know.
I just know put a flag on the defense and then something happened.
The fact that like your flag is singular to the defense is so TJ.
Yeah, just put a flag. It doesn't matter which flag. Could be a pride flag. Could be Black Lives Matter. Just put a flag on the defense. They did it. They got a penalty.
That would be hilarious to like have a sponsored pride flag or Black Lives Matter flag for like in a sporting event where it's just like
October Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they just throw out a pink flag
and it's just like
pink flag on the defense. Support breast cancer awareness.
And not just like wear the pink like they do, but actually incorporate it in the game.
Yeah,
that would
such
be
and
funny.
such millions of people die from breast cancer every year. Support the research.
Pink flag.
Pink flag. Yeah.
Let's lower the numbers. Pink flag, more research, more money, more research. But you know, that's my biggest issue with these trends is there are so many people, especially, you know, like young people, that this is their gospel. Like,
yeah, well, here's the concern of mine, right? Another red flag that I can kind of speak to is that I didn't realize this was a concern of mine until it became a thing. Like, so there's a newer sort of phenomena of individuals that don't take relationships seriously, and they just kind of move through life calling things. So there's a bunch of folks out there that will see a person, try to get the person. Most of the time, this is from the woman to male perspective, right? So in a heterosexual relationship, the chick is waiting on the guy to say this is official. Mm-hmm. They'll still like have sex and intertwine, but that's not called a relationship. Mm-hmm. It's called a situationship. And I don't know. I detest that term. I detest it because it alludes to the fact that there is something there, but it's not really there. And so why don't you just call it a relationship? And you're either party is anticipating something, but they're not speaking up about it. And that frustrates the hell out of me because you can operate some of the same ways that a relationship operates, but it's not quote unquote official. It is not entitled. So therefore it's never a relationship. It's kind of like if you just get a blowjob, that's not sex. No, it's sex, my dude.
Good luck with that, bruh.
bring those back up.
And I respect Andre 3000, but
no, listen. Drake lyrics for the win. He said in 2010, and with Take Care, we live in a generation of not being in love and not being together. But we sure make it feel like we're together because we're scared to see each other with somebody else.
Man, get them teddy bear lyrics out of here.
I'm focused, man.
I'm trying. I'm trying, Jay. I'm trying, Jay. But it's your red flag is exactly what you said.
There's this little like gray area of a line. This gray area of a line is not okay for me.
It's never okay, but that's what I'm saying. Kids are peer pressured into a lot of different things. So for one, there are relationships, kids, that you're in right now that you're only in because someone told you not to be in it.
Oh, got it. A spite relationship.
You're in a spite relationship because adults make sex seem like the holy grail of something you need to obtain quickly.
Wait a minute. You gotta explain that one.
So basically, there might be a girl that's like down the road, right? Mm-hmm. That you really, really like. Girl next door kind of thing. Cool.
You mean how men, like heterosexual men, talk to boys and say,
yeah.
Got it. Okay, so heterosexual male talks to a young male and says, go sow your seeds, my dude.
Yeah.
Because this is what's important.
Or, a Christian community kind of thing of, sex before marriage and you're going to hell. And then like you forcibly are in these relationships because it's forbidden. It's taboo.
Got it. It's because you can't have something.
Yes.
You want something more.
Yes. And
now you're doing it because you don't have enough information. It's like sex education, right?
Yes.
We've had that conversation before where people aren't taught sex education, therefore they go out and experiment and they fail while they're experimenting, whether it be STIs or unwanted pregnancies, so forth and so on.
And then you just are supposed to like learn from that. And then there are all these red flags where it's like, girls are having problems with immature baby fathers because you have a immature baby father.
Right.
And you're an immature baby mother and y'all are an immature couple who didn't understand that there are actual consequences. It's like we moved the field goal on consequences because of what you said earlier about the reality shifting, like the objection versus what is actual reality. Like the actual reality is, yes, you're going to have wants, desires. Like if somebody had explained to me like that I'm not going to be able to control it, that I'm going to have to like work, or that I'm going to be able to control it, but I really have to work on it. Mm-hmm. But that I'm going to have those feelings, thoughts, emotions. I'm going to, testosterone is going to make me dumb.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term. And that's earnestly what it does. It just makes us dumb. Yeah. But that would have been better. Instead of, then I'm like, okay, when I'm having these feelings, emotions, desiring somebody, I see somebody, you see a nipple poke through a shirt because it's cold in the classroom and you're like, yo man, she's not wearing a bra, or whatever it is that you think, and you're
those are hormones.
Hormones. Natural. Thank you. Good God, I forget all the words when I'm trying to make a clear point. So with the
just start speaking one word at a time.
Hormones.
Boob. Pokey. Happy. Oh, hormones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We play the pyramid game to get to the answer. So, it's a thing where a lot of our perceptions, and I know that this is just from experience and being older, but I also know that there are more kids who are like us than there are not. And that the ones that are not either don't have a good environment currently, or you just have to teach differently.
Yeah. So what I think is that we need to really clearly define what a relationship is, right? And in order to avoid that specific red flag or many other red flags, honestly. And so in your opinion, and I want to just kind of add on to your list if you don't touch on anything that I believe, but in your opinion, what are the check boxes for a relationship? What are the qualifiers, right?
2, communication, growth. Communication.
Wait. Well, I mean, if you're gonna call something a relationship, those are your qualifiers.
If you're gonna, wait. Oh, what is a defined relationship?
Not the qualifiers for a healthy one. But the qualifiers for yes, we are in a relationship. What are the
so the qualifiers are it's still going to start with communication because you need to communicate that with that partner.
Okay, so you communicate with that person.
You communicate with that person. You set
maybe Garrett can pop a list somewhere. You communicate with that person.
So I'm making the noise for the list popped up like
the old video pop up.
Pop up video. So
you communicate.
You have standards. So you set a standard for what this relationship is, or not even a standard, direction. So where we're headed.
But
the reason I say that
is if you do that, that still puts people into creating situationships. You see what I'm saying? And I'm trying to get people to stop doing that.
Well, here's the reason I'm saying that, like, there's an actual direction, and I don't mean like the direction of like saying, "Hey, we're just doing this." Like, whenever, like, do not fall for the bull of, like, hey, whenever you need me or I need you, just call me. We do a thing, like. But hey, we ain't really together. Like, no, set an actual direction. Are you saying that we're in a relationship and we want to be married? Are we saying that we're in a relationship and we want to just see? Like, set an actual expectation. Okay. Versus, because when you don't set expectations, situationships happen.
Expectation.
Check in on the expectation. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the times, like you're saying, we end up like, so start a relationship, right? You start having sex, y'all are going out to eat, doing different things. You never said, or they never said in that first part of communication, are you talking to anybody else? Is this something serious?
So, all right. So communication, expectation, disclosure.
And then like
sex.
The last part of it, I think, would be assessment, like earnest assessment, because a lot of the times, so say you start this and here's what we do. So whether you are a believer in the hole in the house, can't turn a hole into a housewife moniker or whatever the case may be, everyone thinks that they have a God level capacity of changing somebody on some level. Whether it's through your own self-sacrifice, it's through your good behavior, you think that you can change somebody. Hence, a lot of the toxic relationships and why people stay is because they think that, well, if I allow this person to abuse me, maybe they'll understand that this isn't right. And if I stand up to them, that just makes them mad, and I don't want that because that causes them to do whatever, right? So I think that you just have to assess everything that's kind of going on around you. Realize that it's not about changing someone, that it's about figuring out, does this work for the both of you? If it doesn't, then move on.
Yeah.
Like, let it go. Like, it's not gonna, unless you are both dedicated to changing and evolving and making it into a healthy relationship at that point, you're only going to end up with negative results.
Yeah.
So,
per usual, you went way deeper
my bad.
than I thought.
My bad.
So here's my parameters, right? And maybe we can pop up a different list, right? So number one, I think we agree on communication, right? So you're talking to each other. The other part is that you're spending time together, right?
Yeah.
So if you're spending time together, no matter what that time looks like, it could be just over the phone, it could be face to face, it could be in a wide variety of ways. But spending time together, communication and spending time together is super important, like part of it. So even if you're just having like digital or virtual conversations, conversations with the person spending time together, you're pretty invested. right? And that leads me to my third point: some type of investment, whether it be sexual investment, time investment, like just being willing to give up something for that other person in the hopes that you get some sort of exchange,
the equivalent exchange of time. And I think that what I did was I realized my methods to ending situationships were based in the mental. Yours are in the practical.
Yeah, I'm super practical about
which, like it makes it like these. With these powers combined, you too can break from a situationship. But continue.
Yeah, so I just don't feel like a situationship should be a term, and so that's why I'm saying that if you're experiencing these three things, communication,
investment,
investment. The other one was spending time. Mm-hmm. Right, then you're in a relationship, hands down.
Fact.
Whether it's brief, whether it's you had sex or not, like you're in a relationship, and stop calling it anything else.
Stop making things that are actually happening, that are actually affecting you. I don't get our need to try and make sex just an act, as if there's never emotions or anything involved. Because that also causes it, because situationship is essentially like we can do this somehow, not gain feelings, not be in a relationship. I'm able to go off and live life normally. We just do this from time to time. And that's also asking for a maturity that don't exist in a lot of folks. That's even like, so even when they're talking about this new, the polygamist arguments and so on and so forth, the argument is always like, do you think that a man was built to be satisfied by just you? Do you think that it's
I
capability?
think my perspective on it is so everybody has emotions when it's tied to sex. Yeah. Nobody's exempt from it. Here's the thing about that. It's the ability to compartmentalize those things, which I believe in a lot of ways separates I would say a heteronormative or cisgendered person, cisgendered male from a cisgendered female. Mm-hmm. I believe that when it comes to guys, there's an ability to jump into relations and just jump out. There is that emotional component, right? It is present, it is there, but we're able to say, let's put this to the side. Let's feel the physical, and then after you've released, there's sort of just like, man, I could keep it pushing. And that's just, that's my perspective and my experience, not necessarily the truth. Right. Yeah. It doesn't work for everybody.
Well, what I'm saying in that is, like, I think that so often we use something that's so pivotal and important, right? So even if you're using like a condom, you're doing all this other stuff. If the dynamics change and all of a sudden you got this person pregnant, again, like we were talking earlier, it changes everything. So even when you're in this meaningless mode, like you did it, you disconnect, now you're connected. You're still all, connected in a way.
So you're saying like, you're forming bonds no matter what.
Like, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Like there's a bond that's formed, whether it's emotional or not. And we have to be more aware of that. We have to take more consideration of that.
But you're now operating, right, both in the mental and the spiritual, which is a perspective that you usually
and practical. Because the practical aspect of a lot of this is you got so many people.
There is a practical bond with a baby, for sure.
Yeah, and it's just more so the practical aspect. If you're just talking simple, the practical mechanics of sex, this can happen. Which if you're going in there with this, disconnected, like thing, and then you're connected, it's like, well, you were always connected. You just chose mentally to not be. Because the bond was there. That's
the compartmentalization.
The compartmentalizing or trying to separate these things in different boxes would say that you're able to just do all of that. Now you can make a choice to, sure, because again, there's absentee fathers, mothers all over the globe that made a choice. Mm-hmm. So I understand that, but that's also indebted to the fact that the compartmentalization of separating sex as an entity or as something that is a bond or a connection or whatever is something we do way too often, especially in situationships where you're able to go in and out of this thing, spend time when I want to spend time, not invest because I'm compartmentalizing you to a certain need that I can scratch off whenever I feel like it.
But I think people should be able to do that. Where I draw the line is, don't call it a situationship. Mm-hmm. Just say we're out here having sex, right? And so that
True.
Don't call it anything, right? It's not a relationship, right? It's just sex. And so I don't like the idea of situationships for that reason. Mm-hmm. I like things to be a little bit more clear, a little bit more binary than just kind of being in between in this limbo zone.
I just don't. The thing I have a problem, I guess, like with that also is that I don't know how many people have the maturity to do that.
Yeah.
And that's more of like my big issue with it. Like, if there were more people capable of just having this is just sex, cool. But majority of the time, like I was telling you, they think either the sex is going to change something or, because there's a bond still there, that something else is formed that isn't there. And then, somebody ends up hurt most times, unless you're mature enough to understand the facets of being able to compartmentalize in that way. But a lot of people just can't because there's so much more invested in just, as we try to say, just sex, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. I just want people to call a spade a spade.
Facts. Let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap this thing up. So, everybody, if you want to see Overtime, is one of our segments that we do on this podcast. I would say about once or twice a month, and every other week or so. Then go ahead and join us on Patreon, patreon.com/wordplaytj. That link is down in the description. You can join us for $1, $3, $5, $20, or $50 a month with varying degrees of exclusive things that we have to offer you for all of those things. So we'd appreciate you joining the Patreon, supporting the channel, supporting this brand in order to continue to grow and finally get something back behind us one of these days.
But as you can see, we're getting better every week. You see this, guys. You see there's no real shadows. The light looks natural. We look beautiful.
Yeah, because there's a great little softbox up here.
We glowing.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you for watching this.
Yeah. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon if you haven't already so you can be notified whenever we go live. We didn't go live today because, technical difficulties and forget you, OBS. You be acting up sometimes.
Yeah, it shouldn't have taken that long for us to get started. But anyway,
we'll be more efficient, better ready to go because we're going to keep tackling it. We'll see you guys next week. A 1 and a 2 and a peace.